We'll get going here at the top of the hour, but thank you very much for your time today. We do greatly appreciate it.
Of course, I'm happy to.
All right, it is 10 o'clock here in Colorado. It is noon on the East Coast. And it is time to introduce someone who is absolutely remarkable and is going to bring great benefit to everyone here within the group. We're privileged today to introduce a professional dedicated to helping busy individuals navigate their life's complexities and find focus. Our guest, Amy Fritz, is the owner of Thoughtful Organizing and sought after coach who specializes in helping professionals move from feeling scattered and overwhelmed to centered and grounded. Amy has a wealth of experience, not only running her own business, but over a decade, but also is in education as a high school resource teacher and the unexpected chapter of being a deckhand in the commercial fishing industry in Alaska. This diverse background gives her a unique perspective on the needs of structure, discipline, and effective system skills that will resonate with all of us here. Amy's philosophy is simple yet profound. When you get organized, you create more time for the things and the people that you love. And she works with clients to create automation, build new routines, and identify what truly is important to trim away the rest. Her goal is to give you the peace of mind and to unlock greater creativity and productivity. Amy is here to share her insights and leverage her experience and help you find your next careers. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Amy. A round of applause for her, please. So, Amy, I always like to start out with, you are a remarkable person, and I would love for you to expand on your origin story. You have a very diverse background. How did you become the Marvel superhero of organization and driving that, positive results for people? Just walk us through that.
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for the introduction. Wow, that was an amazing introduction. In fact, I want to email you later and figure out how to capture that because I need to put that on my website. Well, no, it seemed like anyway, whoever wrote that did an amazing job.
That's
It's
all me.
funny. That's all you?
That's
Wow.
all
Okay.
me.
I'm gonna email you later, Clay. Um, It's funny because I did this a few months ago for Jordy's group, and I think the first question maybe had to do with something to do with maybe military in my background. I think because I mentioned to him that my grandpa was in the army, my uncle was a Marine, and my dad was a pilot in the Navy, and retired back from the Pentagon. But I would say that really, I've never been in the military, but I feel like that shaped who I am. Just growing up with the discipline, we moved every 2 years when I was a kid. We moved, I'm mostly on both coasts. And as much as I loved teaching I really am a teacher at heart. I loved teaching high school. But I just like a lot of people want to transition to something different, just like you guys are doing. Um, but I feel like the organization piece really has to do with growing up in a military family and moving every 2 years and just kind of having to be organized and not, I really am a minimalist at heart too. I don't like to accumulate a lot of stuff. And I think part of that is just having to move every 2 years and, not having a lot of things.
Yeah, the what is it? If there was that organization lady had that Netflix show years ago, does this bring you joy? No, it doesn't bring you joy. Okay, out it goes and everything like that. So my first question to you is, as veterans, we are masters in established systems and SOPs. How can a veteran best translate their innate ability to create and follow military structure into building effective personal organization systems for their lives and their new civilian careers?
Yeah. So I'll just kind of a side note say that I think Jordy told me that you guys all have access to LinkedIn Learning, all the cool courses.
I was going to get to that with you, but yes.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'll just really quickly say that I do have 3 courses on LinkedIn Learning about organization, and it's kind of split between being physically organized. So like at your desk in your, home office or whatever. I work personally at the dining room table. So however you work, staying organized physically and then in your systems, I feel like a big piece of it is time management. Um, Having to, because a lot of us have to split our time between maybe being a parent, we're a member of a family, and so we're split in so many different directions. Um, so yeah, really staying on top of calendaring, whether you use a physical paper calendar, whether you use digital, really, yeah, staying on top of that. Do you want
You
me to
know,
go more into, or does that answer your question?
no, I mean, you can go into it. The time is yours, and organization is super important for all of these guys. So if you want to do a deeper dive on it, go right ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I either, whatever, we could take questions on people's top questions about what they want to know about organization. It's such a broad, but I feel like the time piece for a lot of people, maybe not for you guys in the military, because I feel like maybe that is something that you're really good at because you've always had to, be on time to things. Um, but maybe more in general, so when you're transitioning and you kind of have this like blank slate of, okay, how do I split my time between maybe interviews and putting time into whatever it is, your resume or your LinkedIn profile or reaching out to people. I think a lot of times it's just kind of building a routine in. Um, maybe Tuesday, Thursday mornings is your time to really like do kind of the computer work. Maybe Monday, Wednesday mornings is your time to reach out to people and try to connect. Maybe meet people with, for coffee or like virtual meetings.
That's organizing it in blocks like that definitely is something that we definitely do understand for sure. you know a lot of us that come from the military background, most people, I'd say about 80%, the decisions are predetermined by the mission. And the civilian world, the sheer number of options from career paths, daily habits, can be overwhelming. What would you say is the most important first practical step in a transitioning veteran should take to cut through the decision fatigue and focus on what's most important?
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I would say look at what your strengths are. Maybe your strengths are like face to face with people. Maybe your strengths are the like technical back end, of like promoting who you are on paper. And find people that can help you with working on the areas where you need to work, that maybe aren't your strengths. I know that the last time I did this with Jordy, at the end, he had me listen to a couple do you guys call them elevator pitches or your like 30-second?
Hmm.
So, if you feel like that makes you really nervous and is really hard for you, then maybe that's what you need to work on more. Because I think we tend to work on the things that we're most comfortable with. We tend to like, okay, I'll check my email because that's super easy. That's super low hanging fruit. And we tend to kind of push off, we have our to-do lists. And I know for myself, if I need to work on my website, I just keep pushing that to the end of the list and it'll keep getting pushed, days out. So there's a term in productivity coaches use is like eat your frog first or whatever. There's different phrases for that, but kind of break something really harder for you into smaller bites. Like, okay, I'm going to find 3 people this week that I can kind of practice my elevator pitch with. Um, yeah.
We have the old adage of eating an elephant one bite at a time definitely comes into play.
Hmm.
My area of expertise towards the end of my career was Africa, and that always resonated with a lot of people. I know Timothy is sitting here laughing, and I just brought that up again. When it comes down to it, identifying core values, your process is identifying what's important to trim away and unimportant, piggybacking on what you just said. Given that veterans identity is often wrapped up in service, what's your recommendation on trying to re-identify those core values and those priorities for a successful civilian life?
Well, I think being of service, I mean, that is the ultimate value to carry with you into the private sector because people are going to pick up on that you're a team player, I mean, there are so many like, aspects of being of service that, yeah, that I, I'm trying to think like just off the cuff, how to splinter that down. But does that make sense what I'm saying? That,
Yeah, it does. You can expand on it. Go for it.
yeah, I mean, just kind of like brainstorming, what the practical aspects of that. Yeah.
Got it. Got it. Um, Now I want to go back to the early part of your life when you were a deckhand, a job that's physically and mentally demanding with a lot of very critical systems and a danger aspect to it. What key lessons did you learn in that high stakes environment that you directly apply to your processes and the way how you approach not just your daily life, but also coaching and mentoring people in setting up these organizational systems?
Yeah, I haven't I haven't thought about being a deckhand in so long. I was in my early 20s. I was right out of college and
Yeah,
I went to Kodiak. I think that's where they train the Navy SEALs. But yeah, it was gnarly. We had to work. What was gnarly about it is in Alaska in the summer, if you haven't been there, it's light almost 22 hours a day. So it was super, super long days. And we would just be exhausted. But I think, yeah, with that job, I was in such a small space. We were in like 5 feet by 5 feet, 4 bunks and like no toilet. There was a bucket on the back deck. I mean, that would be what I took from that was just relying on other people and just having to like interpersonal relations. And I feel like what you guys are taking from the military is so crucial that other people in the private industry don't have is you guys are such team players and have such, strong counting on each other and, working together.
I love it. I love it. I'm a personal user of a Panda planner, so I really do like to. I am going to stop my mouth because Mr. Moore has a question. Chris, fire away, sir.
Hey, didn't mean to cut you off, Clay. Hey, Amy, thanks for coming on. I just had a
You're all-
question. So you just gotten out of college. What possessed you to fly all the way to Alaska to work on a fishing boat?
So I went to Virginia Tech for undergrad, and there was just randomly this group of people that I knew that had all kind of there was this like pipeline straight to Kodiak. And I think I was always really into adventure. I was a rock climber. I backpacked. I was super outdoorsy. And the physical aspects of it like didn't phase me at all. And people had come back and just said, it's, literally every day you'll see orcas and bald eagles. And so I was like, let's go. I'm up for it. And when I saw because I had grown up, my dad eventually ended up at the Pentagon. And so I was around as a high school kid, like all these just like different stories. And I saw the Navy SEALs training quite a bit. And I was like, I could do that. Not, I mean, I don't know. Like I just this morning, I live in Santa Barbara, California, and the water in the ocean right now is maybe 40, 58. It's pretty chilly, but I go and I dip in I try to get in the ocean every morning at sunrise, just do a little quick dip. Anyway,
Well, thanks.
that's how I got involved. That's the long answer to your short question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm an old fan of the Deadliest Catch show when it was on, so that's kind of a cool thing to actually do something like that. So it's kind of neat. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's, why did that 30-second dip, quick plunge into the ocean? Is that more of like, that's part of your routine, therefore you must follow it, or does that help you snap into your routine to sit there and get the job done? Expand on that for us.
All of the above. I mean, you probably have seen like all over the internet or Instagram, at least out here on the West Coast, it's super popular. People buy these like cold plunges for their backyard or they go and they go to a gym where they have it. Where I feel lucky enough that the Pacific Ocean is very, very cold. Even in the summer, it's freezing. For me, sometimes I'll do with friends, we'll do like a 30-day challenge where every morning we'll meet at sunrise. But for me, it just kind of grounds me and centers me. And I would say that is something that you probably have as someone in the military is such a good personal foundation. What I mean by that is like the things that ground you and help you. So for some people, it's meditation or yoga. For some people, it's working out, going to CrossFit. So really maintaining that through this process, because the process of transitioning from one thing to another is super like wavy. There's days where you're feeling super awesome. There's days where you're like, what the F am I doing here? Like, what, am I ever going to see the light at the end of the tunnel? And so having a good personal foundation or your one that's strong for you is awesome. So the cold plunging for me is just if I'm just having a crappy day, I'll just go and jump in um, whenever I can. So it's for some people they'll take a walk, around the neighborhood or whatever. Go run stairs or something.
Got it. Sounds awesome. When it comes down to optimizing and organizing job searches, it's a process with a lot of moving parts and pieces between applications, networking, interviews, follow-ups. What is your top organizational hack for managing that complexity for those of us who are here?
So I'm super old school. I like pen and paper. If you're more of a digital person, go for it. Like use, different, you could even just use a Google Doc. But I would say take some
Yep.
time at the beginning of the day and the end of the day to kind of process what you've gone through. Because I feel like that is one piece that because we're kind of running to like the next interview or to the next thing. But to take even 5 minutes to kind of process how your day has gone and it might be like checking off a list or like, okay, what's my goal for tomorrow? Today was, you know, not such a great day with with doing interviews, but okay, tomorrow I'm gonna you might have to give yourself a pep talk when you're creating your goals for the next day.
Love it. Love it. You speak about being intentional about how we spend our time. For veterans whose time was previously dictated most of the time, what does intentionally look like in the civilian context, and how could we start practicing that today besides everything else, you've already mentioned to us?
Yeah, so I went from being a teacher where I mean I was told what to do from the minute I walked in. There's a bell. I mean, it was almost like being in a prison, like these like prison bells. And I taught the kid, and just for the record, I was a resource teacher, but the kids I taught, because I could deal with like nothing phased me. I got the kids that were like setting fires outside my class. They had ankle monitors, they were on probation. They were my people. Like I loved them. Their moms like had face tats. But I just but so everything was dictated for me teaching high school. And when I came into this realm of owning my own business, there are days I still am like, I don't know what to do today because I don't have any coworkers. So it's all on me. So I would say some really simple things you could do are what I try to do is on a Sunday, because it's kind of the beginning of the week, I take just 5 minutes and just kind of look at my week ahead. And if with my family, I kind of gather, like maybe at a Sunday dinner, like, okay, with my son, like, okay, what are the days that you need to like be this place or that place? Because I need to know on my calendar. And then for myself, okay, these are the days I said I would go to like networking events. And then kind of like I said before, first thing in the morning when I wake up, I kind of look at my day and what's ahead. Things might have changed. I might have gotten an email from someone that someone canceled. So then I have a block of time where, okay, I can fit in some other things. And then at the end of the day, being intentional, same thing about like, okay, not just checking things off a list, like, okay, this is what I got done today, but also taking a moment to like pat yourself on the back because that's what we so seldomly do is like, dude, like I killed it today. You know, I might not have gotten the results I wanted from this one interview, but like I networked with three new people. So really take the time to, you know, pat yourself on the back, congratulate yourself.
I love it. We do have a question in the chat, and this comes from Ms. Rosa. How can I take one of your LinkedIn courses?
So is that Clay? Do you guys have access to LinkedIn Learning?
Uh, I'm going to butcher
Oh,
your
okay.
first name. I apologize. This is coming in on the chat. They do have access to them, and I do
Okay.
as well.
So how it works is like when you're in LinkedIn, there, I think at the top, and I can message later I can look at it and send you exactly the steps. But there should be a space where it says LinkedIn Learning, and there's courses. You can literally learn anything from Excel to, even things that you know how to do, but you want to get better at. Um, but I have three courses about organization. One has to do with tackling, like really tackling disorganization and the what causes it. One has to do with notifications. So we constantly are bombarded by notifications. And then one has to do, it came out during the pandemic, and it had to do with people that kind of are doing a hybrid of they work sometimes in the office and sometimes at home. But really, all the aspects of that course would apply to anyone. But yes, it's through on your LinkedIn profile. There should be a spot somewhere up there that says LinkedIn Learning courses. And there's a library of, I mean, I don't, maybe it's up to 1 million now, but there's such cool courses out there.
I know that too. The courses that I've built are in there, and yeah, I think it's up to like 1.2 or something like. There's a lot in there for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
so wait, let me just say one thing though, but like there are even ones that have to do with what you're going through right now, like interviewing. So you might think you're great at it, but you might just do like a refresher. What's great about the courses is they break them into 2 minute um 2-minute segments, so you don't have to sit and watch a whole hour course. You can just do it 2 minutes at a time. That's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, absolutely. Love it, love it, love it for sure. Um, let's see here. And those courses are already being found and they're already adding it to those buckets. Um, in the military, systems often, involve entire teams. In a civilian role, the focus becomes individual performance. What do you recommend in a veteran transitioning on relying on shared team systems to develop more effective personal systems for productivity and task management?
Yeah, so I think kind of back to my earlier point, really take some time, even if you're just, a pad of paper. I'm super fan of like these, oh, sorry, my screen's blurred, but like Target has, spiral notebooks. I love these like $2 notebooks that I'm constantly kind of jotting. Take a few moments to like jot within organization, what are the areas that you maybe aren't as good at? So like, maybe for you it's time, maybe, or it's physical space. And then you have to refresh me. I got I got off task. Remind me the question again. It had to do with specifically.
Taking, so going away from a shared team dynamic system to personal,
Thank you. Yes.
yes.
So like, okay, so taking stock of what the areas of for you that are a weakness within organization, and then kind of working on that, maybe taking a LinkedIn course or spending some time journaling it about it. Why is this so hard for me? Maybe I need to switch the spot that I'm working in the house so that I'm not as distracted. But I really think that in most jobs that you're going into, whether it's in a hospital or a company, there is going to be a lot of team, um, and finding out what other people use. When you get hired, like find out the people that are in your, you know, on your where you work in your shared space, that what they use to help them. Because I feel like I constantly with there are constantly new apps, there are new ways to stay organized that I don't even know about. Like every week something new is being added. So I feel like when you're in a new job, or just, maybe ask someone younger who might know of what an app that they use for organization.
Love it, love it, love it. Um, those of us military wise, we love control, particularly those of us who came from senior leadership positions to where our leadership and our control dynamics can be very different. Transitioning from a highly structured environment can sometimes lead to overwhelming need to control all aspects of our civilian lives, which obviously can be exhausting. I should know. I'm going off of 4 hours sleep. How would you coach a veteran to find that right balance between structure and necessary flexibility?
Well, I'll say sleep, at least for me, it's like I'll just say the sleep piece is yeah, it's so important. So I'll just say get some more sleep tonight.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, yeah, there again, sorry, remind me of the question. I was already like onto the.
How would you coach a veteran to find the right balance between structure and necessary flexibility?
Okay, so I just read a book. It's more, well, it's interpersonal. Have you heard Let Them? Um, it's by Mel. Oh gosh, it's on my bedstand. Mel something. Let Them. I could send it to you later. Um, but it basically has to do with wanting to control everything and everyone around you. So a lot of the book talks about wanting to control the people in your life closest to you, family members, but it also, she talks a lot about at work as well, situations. And it's kind of really getting to the root of letting go of control. I just, It's an amazing read. Even if you just read what it's about, the Cliff Notes version of it, um, and tr I guess trusting that it will all unfold. Because I think part of the fear, what she talks about is fear. I mean, control really at the root of it is about fear, and not knowing what's going to happen. So trusting this process of transitioning and then trusting that in this new position you're in the private sector, that it's going to be okay. I mean, really just reminding yourself that yes, you're going to know a lot, and there will be times where you know maybe more than someone does, and so you'll want to control that situation, but kind of trusting that, yeah.
Love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I kind of want to pick on people because the crowd's a little quiet today. Hey, Chris, you here?
Which one? Chris Benzet?
Yeah, you, brother. Because
Yeah,
you
I'm
obviously
here.
being a project manager, extraordinaire. Do you have any questions for her?
I do not, but I do agree with her that organization is super important. One of the things that I used to tell people is about how to manage email, like in the military. It used to drive me crazy. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, but I had a lot of airmen that would like miss, um, you know, appointments. Like they'd be scheduled for, we call it CADM, where they go shoot or something like that, or some sort of readiness thing, and they would miss it, but they were emailed about it, and they were like, "Oh, I never saw it." And then I'd say, "Well, go check your email," and I'd kind of hover over them. They'd have like 1,200 unread emails or something. I'm like, "Well, there's a reason that you don't know because you're not checking your email, you know." And so, I show also with just organizing and kind of taking emails that I'm using email as an example, but um, organizing them and breaking them down into different folders, like because sometimes you'll have to refer back to things. So I like to take my Outlook and kind of organize it in a way where, if it's something I know that I'll need to refer back to at some point, I'll put it in a certain category of folder so that it's easier for me to find later. But just little things like that. And I agree with you 100% on the organization aspect.
Thank you so much. That I'm just gonna say, Clay, what Chris just said was way better than him asking me a question. I think
Love
when
it.
I get off sometime, you could have everyone share, or like 5 people share things that they use to help stay organized, or things that they've done that help, because inevitably you guys all, I mean, like what just shared was, I mean, awesome, totally. Um, and yeah, when I give workshops, a lot of times that's what I'll do is I'll say, hey, can you guys share like your top, like, things that you do to stay organized? And inevitably people in the room like have things that are just as good as what I'm going to say, or even better.
That's a really, and that's the reason why I like to tag him in because Chris and I both work here at Seven Eagle. So, he's got a little bit of a different perspective because where he came from. Is there a particular system of organization that you like to follow? Like me, I am a huge Eisenhower Matrix fan of delegating out my day, my week, my month, everything like that. Is there a particular method that you like to follow or has worked best for you in the past?
Yeah, I feel like with all of us, it's kind of ever evolving. What I do, I kind of t have taken little bits from everything. I didn't even know what the Eisenhower matrix was until like a year ago when I was doing one of these new courses on LinkedIn. I I understood the principle of it and I was using it, but I just had not heard the term. So I feel like we all kind of cobble together what works best for us and the way our brain works. Um, so it's funny, the chats are coming in and I saw someone wrote, I thrive in chaos, which
I
is, oh, sorry, go
Timothy,
ahead.
no. Timothy, I want you to come off mute and I want you to sit there and talk about that, you thriving in chaos, because you obviously have a very good dynamic with me, and this would definitely, be beneficial to you. Come off mute, and why exactly do you like to thrive in the chaos, Tim.
I say that kind of tongue in cheek. I've got a special operations background, so always changing dynamics and stuff like that. So there are certain things that I understand have to be very organized, very regimented, and like why, like on my kit, like working and stuff, like things were organized. I knew exactly where things were. There, it was standardized. But if you were to go into my garage, like my wife is like, "How do you know where anything is?" You know, it's just chaos to her. But I know where everything is. It makes sense to me, but it only needs to make sense, to me, unless she's looking for something. So I said that kind of jokingly, but more so knowing like in what areas of my life I am organized, and what areas I can just, let it all go and have fun with it.
Totally. I love that you said that because a lot of times when people hire me, the first thing they'll say to me is, "Oh, I'm not organized." But then when I go into their space, they are organized. And when they explain it like you just did, I know where everything is, then I say, well, then that's fine. It doesn't have to be organized to me. And maybe it doesn't really have to be organized for your wife, but as long as you know where things are. But when things start to kind of like disintegrate is when you're like what Chris was talking about. You have 12,000 emails or whatever, 1,200. I mean, I've seen people with 12,000 unanswered emails. When it becomes a problem, that's when you need to change things up and tweak or, get someone to help you or show you a better way.
Tim, master of chaos. So Tim and I kind of have a similar career trajectory to where we were the masters of chaos. And you've heard me say that, there are people here that are used to the structure. Tim and I actually come from the part of the community that is unstructured, and we're the ones that have to put it all together. So that's why we like to thrive in sort of like being in the masters of the chaotic environments. That and Tim, I didn't mean to pick on you. It's just,
Oh
you
no,
threw
no,
that comment in there.
you're good. It's a lot
I
of
had to
your
say it.
own destiny type of thing, with hey, I'm coming up with the training plan. I'm coming up with whatever we're doing. Oh, the weather stinks today, so we're pivoting and like, yeah, totally did that all the time.
Well, I'll say this. When you said that, and then when you started to explain, that is such a gift and a skill that I feel like translates to the private sector because you really what that means to me when you say is I thrive in chaos is you get an adrenaline rush when things change up and you have to be able to pivot fast. And so, in a tech company or whatever, in a hospital, I'm just using those examples. When you have to quickly think on your feet, I mean, that's an amazing skill that not everyone can do. So I feel like that translates so well.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I actually want to bring up one of your client testimonials and what they mentioned. They mentioned you helping them find an assistant for a veteran moving into a leadership or management role. How do you advise them on automating or delegating those tasks effectively to maximize their time, for that high value work?
Yeah. So okay, let me just ask a question. Do you mean like, okay, so that was someone I did help find an assistant, but do you mean
Yes.
like when they're transitioning to help them find someone that can like,
Yeah, to delegate to
okay,
be able to find a person to
got it.
offset and maximize, their capabilities and their overall work.
Okay. So it's twofold. Oh, do you mean like when they're in a new position?
Correct.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, so I feel like that's twofold. Sometimes what it means is really figuring out like, okay, what are my tasks at hand? What do I have to get done? And prioritizing. So it's prioritizing what needs to be done first. There are things that maybe don't need to be done till next week. The second thing is maybe there are some things on that list that you really don't need to do that you've maybe added or someone added that like it makes sense for someone else to do it. And I'm not saying you're trying to like pawn your work off on someone else, but I just mean that within a company there might be a better person for it that like can do it quickly and knows how to do it. Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense. I want to open it up to the floor and sit there, and I want people to share with Amy their organizational structure so that way she might be able to give a quick 30-second piece of feedback on it. Would anybody like to share how they like to structure their organization and how to tackle complex problems? Chris, why did I have a feeling that you were going to be the first one? Go ahead, brother.
I'm sorry I sound the way I do. My daughter and I have been on our deathbeds the last couple of days. Yeah, so I am really sick. But yeah, so I would say there's a couple different things that I like to use. Sometimes people like to attack what I like to call the fire that's the nearest to them. The thing that's the closest, that's burning them the most. But I always try to pursue things of value. So I kind of base my things off of returns on my investment of time. And so I say, if I invest my time here, I'm going to get the bigger benefit, the whole 80-20 rule. I'm sure you're familiar with the 80-20 rule. The only exception to that I will say that I do outside of that is if it's a task that I can knock out in like 5 minutes or so, I try to get those done first, because the problem is when you let those little 5-minute tasks linger, they're still on your mind. And so they kind of take away brain power and focus from some of the larger tasks that require your focus. So I try to knock those quick things out. So usually I'll come in, I'll check my email, I'm like, okay, what do I got for the day? I'll knock out those quick tasks that I can, push out real fast. And then I'll prioritize the things that take a little bit more time and effort based on value and return on investment. And if it doesn't have value, I mean, I'll get to it eventually, maybe, you know what I'm saying? If it doesn't have a whole lot of value, but I kind of put those things, to the side and focus on the things that mean the most to, people or processes and stuff within the organization. And that's kind of how I tackle mine for the most part.
I love it. I mean, Chris, you could teach the course that I did on yeah, no, that's really good. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Anybody else
You're
wants to? I'm sorry, who? Someone just came off mute. I apologize.
I was just telling her she's welcome for sharing. It's Chris.
Okay. Let's see here. Do we have anything else in the chat? I'm gonna pick on. Well, I haven't heard your voice in a while. Lauren, what are some of the skills and what are some of the ways you help to stay organized and stay founded in your searches and the way how you do things?
I kind of have a particular way most of the time of just keeping track of like what's going on throughout the days or weeks or months. I I used to write things down a lot, being very in that military mode. We used to take our little uh binders or whatever to meetings, so we would write a lot of things down and important dates of things are coming up. But then after a while, I just started doing it on my phone or a tablet. I'm like, well, we have this device and we're not, some of us are not using it. So I figured, let the smartphone be smart for me for a change. This way I could also set reminders and things like that. So I still use my phone a lot for that and typing notes. Um, and then lately, what I've been doing, preparing myself for interviews, is instead of trying to, think on the fly or think of my star action stories, things like that. I've been writing them out a few times, and just kind of keeping that that momentum of what my story is. And in this way, if I have time, they're printed out. Then I go to my binder. I call it my interview prep binder. I open it up. I read it a couple times, and hopefully that these are some of the questions that I can answer right away. If not, if it's a question I haven't thought of, then hey, then I'll just have to wing it, and hopefully I can pull up my stories from there.
Awesome. Oh my God, those were amazing. Those were gems that you just shared. Thank you so much for sharing that.
I love it. Anybody else?
I just want to say, sorry, what was his name again?
I didn't actually see who was speaking. Who was that?
It was me, it's Roy.
Oh,
Roy.
okay. Love it.
So
Love.
I just want to say what one thing that Roy said was at first he said, I don't really have like a specific way, but then he was very specific about how he, writes things down, and now he's realized what works better for him is using a tablet or a phone. So that's awesome. I mean, I think most of you are organized and have ways that you stay organized, but you're just not realizing it. You take it for granted because you do it every day. And so it's cool to hear, what some of your other the other people on here are doing too, to just realize, oh yeah, that's like something I've thought about doing. Maybe I could try that, or oh yeah, I do that too.
Absolutely, because we always need to bounce off other ideas off of other people for sure. Anybody else want to share? I'm about getting ready to pick on a few people, sit there and have them. Ms. Rosa, I'm going to screw up your first name. Are you still here, or you already take off for lunch? Corelia's?
I'm still here.
Okay. Well, so share with us, because you really got into it and you wanted to find the LinkedIn Learning. What are some of the things that you do to just help stay organized and help create that foundation?
So I use an app, and every day I just organize everything I have to do and just make sure I'm doing everything I have to do. I'm not really that organized because I don't have like a routine, which that's what I need to learn. And that's why I was asking.
Nice.
Yeah, that's,
Well,
that's pretty much it.
can you share what the name of the app is?
It's called Structured. It's really pretty. And you can download it in any like iOS or what is the other one?
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember it either, but
Android.
yes.
Android. Yes.
Nice. And was it free or did you have to pay for it?
It's free. There's a premium like everything, but you don't need it to be able to use it properly.
Nice. And I think there are a lot of free apps. And like I was saying before, I think there are new ones that pop up like every week.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just, if I can speak to the structure part, it could be as simple as, I think I said it at the very beginning, it could be as simple as like on a Sunday when you're looking at your week, just saying like, okay, every morning I'm going to start with whatever, 15 minutes of, maybe I'm going to journal about what I'm going to do today, or make my list of like what I'm going to get done. That is a routine right there. And then it can go farther, like, okay, I'm going to make sure that like Tuesdays and Thursdays is when I focus on interviews. Maybe Mondays and Wednesdays, I focus on like outreach, just like sending people messages on LinkedIn, or trying to have coffee with people that I know in town that might know of a job. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
that really is a routine right there. It's a simple one, but it's just starting to, and then going from there, and then realizing, okay,
Mm-hmm.
kind of building on that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, because I do the same thing in my own business. There are days where I'm like, I don't know, what should I do today? I feel like I need to do something because, maybe I don't have a client today, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like, it's almost like there's millions of things floating around, and it's like, well, which ones should I be focusing on?
Makes sense. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
You're welcome. You too.
Anybody else? Oh, Chris, I'm sorry. The man with 1,000 questions. I love it. What do you do to stay organized, Chris?
Yeah, so before Clay volunteers somebody else to get on here, I just wanted to share something I've learned through countless failed projects and just through learning by error. One thing I'll do is take whatever is under my responsibility, and I'll compartmentalize it, and so everything kind of put off fences around it, and that way any interactions with outside like stakeholders or other agencies, organizations, um, those are always negotiations. So if I want to, run fast with something, I'll compartmentalize what we're doing and focus on what can we do, what processes can we change, how are we working towards, whatever the end goal is. So through compartmentalization is where I kind of see some ability to have control, because a lot of times if you got 50 different stakeholders, it's never going to get agreed upon, or if it does get agreed upon, at some point it's going to take forever. So by compartmentalizing those areas, you can move a lot quicker and actually see results. So I just figured I'd share.
Yeah, no, that's good. Wait, Chris, can I ask you, for people who might that are in the audience that might not know what you mean by compartmentalizing, could you give like a specific example of how you do that?
Sure. Yeah. So something kind of just real layman's kind of keeping it simple would be like an actual so I was in charge of a support flight at one point. We had a bunch of different entities, and it was for a schoolhouse. So we had instructors that would come and get equipment and gear, and we were in charge of the whole life cycle of the gear and support side of it. And so they would give us requirements like what they needed, what days, dates, scheduling, that sort of thing. But inside of that, I would allow my teams to create their own business rules inside of that, as long as they were providing the result or the requirement that the instructors or the students needed. How they got to that point gave them the flexibility to do it the best way they thought, as opposed to somebody that was very process driven telling them how to do it. I gave them the freedom, and it allowed them to flex, and really meet the objectives of what we're trying to do, as opposed to just following a checklist. That was kind of a helpful thing, I thought.
Nice. That's awesome. Thank you.
Chris, go ahead, sir.
No, I agree with him on the whole compartmentalization. I think the easiest thing for me too is the breaking it down into more manageable chunks, right? It's like, how do you eat this? How do you eat an elephant, one bite at a time? And so sometimes, setting tasks aside that don't require your attention now and saying, listen, I'm not even going to worry about these things. I'm going to focus only on this right now that needs my attention. And as a way to kind of, not allow yourself to get overwhelmed. Um, I did have one other thing I was going to say, and the reason that I raised my hand, but I forgot what it was. So if you give me, if you
Well,
give me,
you've seen me do that twice already.
Hey.
Like totally
Oh,
forget
no,
the
no, no.
question.
I remember now. I was going to ask you a question about, so I know you do a lot about with organization, but how much do you do for like change management? Because change in organization is not always easy depending on where you are, and how people deal with that change. Do you do anything with change management at all?
It's funny you ask that. So when I started organizing, I mostly was getting hired by people to help them organize their garage, their closets. Over time, businesses would hire me. A few years ago, the World Bank reached out to me. I think they saw one of my LinkedIn courses and they sent me to DC to do a couple 90-minute breakout sessions. And what I noticed is one of the things, sorry, I'm giving a long answer to this, but one of the first things I had them do was break into groups and figure out what's working and what's not working within their organization. And I knew this would happen, but so much came up that there were things that were happening within the World Bank, because they have offices all over the world. And some changes that needed to be happen. And so I kind of started to like open the dialogue, because in the room were people, at all levels, and there were people in like pretty high management. And so I turned it to them and I said, hey, these are great questions that, maybe you could give one quick example was, so the DC is kind of the head of the World Bank, maybe London, I don't remember, but they were having issues with like people at the Africa office and the time difference. And so people would send emails and expect a response quickly, but there were people like 15-hour time difference. And so yeah, I was like, as a senior manager, maybe you could send out these emails that say, hey, as long as you respond within 24 hours, or so the change management, I haven't done too much of it, but I would love to get into that more.
Yeah, thank you. I used to teach that for some years. I used to teach change management in the Air Force, and when I think about organization, I think about you know I can those things I think kind of go hand in hand a lot of times because I mean with AI alone, with all the changes that's happening with AI alone, like I think a lot of people are going to be in shock if they can't figure out how to adjust. And so
So what that means to me is that you're good at because with change, people there's resistance. And so if you were in change management, you're good at difficult conversations, having difficult conversations with people, and that's an amazing skill right there. So to let people know when you're transitioning that you know how to have difficult conversations with teams and work through it and help them find their best path, because not there are people in management that are not that good at that, and I think that's a gift.
I'm fortunate with that. I will say, everybody has their weaknesses, but I think like being able to kind of relate to people and communicate with people is definitely one of my strengths that I've always had. And yeah,
That's
no,
awesome.
I appreciate your time. And I just, I'd love to connect with you and stuff. So I'll send you a LinkedIn request and
Yeah.
connect with you.
Well, so to piggyback on that, Clay, to let everyone know that on my website, you can book a free, because I have people all the time, potential clients book a free call with me. You can book either 15 minutes or 30 minutes. And for you guys, you're welcome to book a 30-minute call. And we can just talk about ways that you want to work on your organization or transitioning, or like how to talk, more to prospective employers. But reach out to me. I'll follow you back on LinkedIn, but then take it a step further and go to my website, and you're welcome to book a call with me if you want to talk more.
I was actually going to bring that up and talking about your services and everything, that you did have that offer on your LinkedIn page. So I definitely do encourage everyone here to connect with Amy and take advantage of that, because here is a resource to help build you guys up stronger, better, help stay organized, because that was one of the biggest things that I struggled with when I came off active duty, was transitioning that organizational structure that I had as a Green Beret to here in the civilian world, which was dramatically different, 1000%. So, with the 4 minutes left that we have before the top of the hour, Amy, any closing thoughts? Any other little tidbits you would like to share with everyone?
I mean, I would just say keep up the good work. Like, you guys are doing amazing work. Well, thank you for your service, all the service that you've given to our country. But you're doing good work right now, and it's hard, and there are days where it's like it feels like total shit. Like, what's happening? Like, why am I not? But just keep your head up, and I mean, yeah, reach out to me. I'm happy to talk with you. Connect with people. There are people in your community that would love to have coffee with you or meet with you or give you advice. A lot of times, like, people who are older are really great resources, especially if they're retired, they have more time on their hands. They might be in a private industry that you're interested in getting into. Yeah, I mean, people are always willing to help out. So take advantage of that.
Love it, love it, love it. 1000%. Alrighty. Well, with that being said, it is coming up on the top of the hour, and we are getting into lunch break for everyone. So, yes, let's give Amy a round of applause. Amy, thank you so much for your time. We do greatly appreciate it. I know one of my peers will be reaching out to you shortly with a follow up, but thank you. I actually took away a lot conversing with you today. So, it brought me some things that I'm going to use personally myself. in the future as we continue to grow everything here at Seven Eagle Group. And again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your time today. I am going to be, I don't think we have another session just yet. I think we're on lunch break for right now for everyone, but that is it, and that's all I got. So I am going to go ahead and end it for right